bears a name, it is his.
Frankenstein!
If evil has a form, it is this.
What's out there?
If terror has a time, it is now. You've been warned. Robert De Niro, a Kenneth Branagh film.
Don't bother to scream.
Mary Shelley's Frankenstein.
See it at a theater near you.
Welcome back to Geek Channel 8. My name's Eric.
And I'm Will.
And I'm Jason.
Today on the show, we are talking about Mary Shelley's Frankenstein from 1994.
Now, what a year to be alive. 1994.
Let's talk about the 90s. I was at work yesterday, and there was a woman that I work with who you would not expect this from. She's like, I got something to show you, because she knew that I was into punk rock and stuff like that. And she opens up a folder and takes out a stack of flyers for shows, punk shows in Indianapolis in the 1990s.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
And so I'm looking at him and I'm like, oh my God, you know, all these great bands. And then, of course, because Indianapolis is not too far from where I grew up, Cincinnati, Ohio, there's a bunch of bands that I'm like, oh, the Chemo Kids, I know them. Oh, Snotboy 77. Snotboy 77, I remember them. Yeah, like they lived in my building, you know, and stuff like that. And so I was like, oh, you got to keep these flyers. She's like, yeah, I keep thinking I'm going to get rid of them. And then I'm like, I can't get rid of them now, you know? And so I'm like, you better not get rid of them, you know? And so it's like a mini museum. And like everybody else, this was at a work meeting at the end of the meeting. And it was a big one too. There was like 30 people there and everybody thinks we're crazy. Well, they're just like, what the hell? You know, and we're just like going through this whole stack of flyers. Now, you know, Jason, since you've been doing stuff with the Super Satan show, I'm curious, like, is that how it is nowadays? Because I don't know what modern, like, the punk or metal scene in Cincinnati is like anymore. It was a thing in the 90s. It was a thing. And there was
still is. It still is.
Do people still go around and put up staple flyers to telephone poles and do all that?
Yes.
Jazz?
Yeah, I do. Like when I would put on shows, you know, I would definitely set a few hours aside and just like get in my car, stop in a neighborhood, get out, do a little walking around and, you know, hit the street as it were, you know. But yeah, I put up, and people still do that. Absolutely. It's a lot easier with the internet now.
Are there basement shows? Are the bands good? You know,
actually the last basement venue has just shut down here in Cincinnati.
Yeah, I don't, yeah.
Oh.
But that doesn't mean another one's not going to pop up, because those things tend to do so.
Yes.
You just have to be hip enough to, you know somebody who knows somebody to where, you know, you can go to those things.
The Warner House. No,
right.
I'm not gonna say anything because our audience is global. Nobody's gonna know what I'm talking about when I say the Warner House.
Right.
Yeah,
I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about.
They might have their own Warner House, though. That's just it.
Right.
It's like, hey, yeah, well, where it's like, this is a place where, you know, a band comes to town, maybe they crash there because that's another band's place, you know?
Right.
That kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
But back in the day, the venues themselves were barely legal. Like,
yeah,
I know that there's a documentary out there and it's never really gotten distribution. So I think you can find it online. I think it's paywalled, but there's one about the outhouse, which was like, it's in the middle of the country, like Kansas or Iowa or something like that. I don't remember where it was, but they made a documentary about it. And it's got like, they're talking to the Bad Brains. They're talking to all these people that toured through there. You know, I think Ice-T was in the trailer talking about how, like, you know, the good thing about the outhouse, you know, it's in the middle of a cornfield, right? So there's the good thing about the outhouse, BYOB, you know, no rules,
right.
No cops, you know, there's like, you know, the bad thing about the outhouse, you could die.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a time, man. Let me tell you. I don't know. I'll have to like listen to this record you got coming out and
Yes,
see if like
yes.
if the band's like if they make the grade, you know?
Dude, there Cincinnati has an amazing music scene. It really does. You have to find it. Just like any good suit, any good record, any good movie. You have to consider it like this, the turd. You have to dig through a lot of shit to find that kernel of corn. Or perchance a lima bean, gentlemen. A lima bean.
Okay.
All right. So I just want to throw this out there that, not only though, punk scene still exists, but also the attitude is still out there. They're still doing things other than music because, of course,
Oh
punk is more
yeah.
than music.
You got
Yeah.
kids, so tell us what the teenagers are doing.
I'm not talking.
What are the
Okay,
Gen
I'll tell you,
Z? What are they
I'll
doing
tell you
nowadays?
I'll tell you what the kids are doing, man. Like there's the hardcore music, like metalcore, like metal and punk rock have fused into this thing to where it's so heavy it makes kids kung fu kick the shit out of each other in the pit nowadays.
Oh,
I mean,
gee.
I
There's
now
there, not my local because it's about an hour from here, but one of the closest venues I can go see shows at, it actually has a sign on the door that says "No Kung Fu in the pit."
like
No karate in the pit is what
no
it says.
karate. Like they get these kids go hard. Like I've been in some pits back in my day where I thought I was going to get trampled to death, but nobody was trying to spin kick me in the face or anything like that.
See, okay, so but like,
Is that real or is that just like the
That's
satanic
not
panic of
hyperbole, dude.
punk?
That's not hyperbole, dude. Hyperbole. Sorry, it's real. The like watch like down, there's a here in Northside Cincinnati. There's a place called Design Collective that puts on all ages shows because a lot of these kids that dig this stuff are underage. They can't get into a bar. So it's really important for venues for places for these kids that get to see that stuff. And man, I get in the back. I just stand in the back. I'm not, I don't know how well I would handle how well my ribs would handle, catching a chicken wing to the sternum or something like that anymore. I'm old.
Huh. Let's talk about some of the other stuff that went down in the 90s around the world. Let's get out of our little provincial Queen City here.
Okay.
January 1st of 1994, the Zapatista Army of National Liberation, the EZLN, began an uprising in the state of Chiapas, Mexico, over the North American Free Trade Agreement, NAFTA. The rebels occupied cities and towns in Chiapas, releasing prisoners and destroying land records. So, yeah, that's how you do it.
Yeah.
February 12th, Edvard Munch's painting The Scream was stolen. It was recovered in May, so it wasn't gone for that long. But
yeah. Right. I remember that. I was a mailman then. I remember that. Yeah.
March 6th, Moldova votes not to reunify with Romania.
dun, dun, dun.
April 16th, Finland votes to join the European Union.
Good for them.
May 18th, the Flavor Saver genetically modified tomato becomes the first genetically engineered food licensed for human consumption.
Just marches forward.
That's right.
Israel and the Vatican established diplomatic relations.
Oh, how very nice for them.
July 1st, the film Wolf, loosely based on The Wolf Man and starring Jack Nicholson, is released.
Oh, I remember that one.
That was terrible.
Okay. I don't often do deaths, as I said last time, but I think I'm going to do one this time just because it bears some relevance on this. August 11th, Peter Cushing of Star Wars and Frankenstein film series fame passes away.
No. Peter Cushing, he was Grand Moff Tarkin, right?
Grand Moff Tarkin. He was also
Okay.
Frankenstein in Curse of Frankenstein.
Yeah. Yes.
September 16th, of 1994, Britain lifts the broadcasting ban of Sinn Féin and paramilitary groups from Northern Ireland.
Oh.
October 5th, the day after 5 members of the Order of the Solar Temple were found dead in Quebec, Canada, Swiss police found another 48 members of the cult dead in a mass murder-suicide.
Oof.
Gotta love them cults, man.
November 3rd, 1994, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein premieres at the London Film Festival before opening in the UK and the US the next day in a wider release. So a little bit about this film. Francis Ford Coppola originally intended to direct this as a follow-up to Bram Stoker's Dracula, which we covered on the show. Go back into the archives, look it up. We actually spent 2 episodes talking about that. Instead, he decided to step back and be the producer. His one stipulation for whoever directed it is that they had to cast Robert De Niro as the creature above all else. I'm sure he had other ideas, but that was his main thing. Other people who wanted the role but didn't get the chance to play it, Gerard Depardieu and Andy Garcia, both were wanting to take on this.
Oh, okay. Oh,
So-
wait. Andy Garcia, Things to Do in Denver When You're Dead?
Yes.
Watch it if you haven't seen it, guys. Just saying.
All right. So De Niro had a lot of power on this. So he chose Kenneth Branagh to direct it. Branagh brought in Frank Darabont, who we now know as like the writer for many a Stephen King thing and The Walking Dead. And, you know, he's got a lot to his credits these days. This was a young Frank Darabont, though. He brought him in to write a second draft of the screenplay, insisting on including elements from the novel that had not been present in the script. So De Niro's like, we're gonna add this stuff back in. Branagh stated in an interview that the film was, quote, a family tragedy like Shakespeare. Branagh, of course, is famous for directing Shakespeare adaptations of the screen. He said, and I quote, there are lots of echoes of Hamlet in it, I think. Victor Frankenstein is the opposite side of the same coin as Hamlet. Instead of forming a philosophy of death and our journey toward it, he resists it. He says, let's stop them dying and see if we can do it better. He replaces Hamlet's intellectual pursuit with physical action and still isn't happy, unquote. On his portrayal of the creature, De Niro studied stroke victims to prepare for this role. Original screenwriter Steph Lady, who sold the script to Francis Ford Coppola's American Zoetrope company, said, quote, the film was a shocking disappointment. A misshapen monster born of Kenneth Branagh's runaway ego. He took a poignant, thought-provoking tragedy and turned it into a heavy metal monster movie. Casting of Robert De Niro as the monster was beyond inexplicable, unquote. Frank Darabont, who did a second draft, called the film, quote, the best script I ever wrote and the worst movie I've ever seen, unquote. Saying, quote, there's a weird doppelganger effect when I watched the movie. It's kind of like the movie I wrote, but not at all like the movie I wrote. It has no patience for subtlety. It has no patience for quiet moments. It has no patience, period. It's big and loud and blunt and rephrased by the director at every possible turn. Cumulatively, the effect was a totally different movie. I don't know why Branagh needed to make this big, loud film. The material was subtle. Shelley's book was way out there in a lot of ways, but it's also very subtle. I don't know why it had to be this operatic attempt at filmmaking. Shelley's book is not operatic. It whispers at you a lot. The movie was a bad one. That was my Waterloo. That's where I really got my ass kicked most as a screenwriter. Branagh really took the brunt of the blame for that film, which was appropriate. That movie was his vision entirely. If you love that movie, you can throw all your roses at Kenneth Branagh's feet. If you hated it, throw your spears there too, because that was his movie. So the writers, both of the writers, were not happy. It made a couple of year-end film lists. It was, according to Peter Travers, Rolling Stone magazine, it was the third worst film of the year. And according to Janet Maslin of the New York Times, it was the 9th worst film of the year.
Wow.
It's time to stretch and fetch. See what's cooking at our refreshment counter. You'll find your favorite foods and beverages, plus many new goodies to tempt your appetite and add to your evening's pleasure. Everything's the finest quality. So treat yourself now.
People who have been listening to this particular chunk of our show for a while, Frankenstein, will realize that this is a Swiss story. And by Swiss, that basically means border Germany, France, blah, blah, blah. All right. Because of that, and because of the food that appears in this particular film, I have found a dish that I think is suitable. But it's in German, and I don't think I can pronounce it. So I'm going to play something here. Hopefully it'll come through.
Is it in German or is it in Swiss?
This is in German.
Okay.
Steckrübe.
Steckrübe. Steckrübe. All right.
That sounds tasty.
Steckrübe is
Wasn't he the villain in like Die Hard?
I think, yeah, Hans Stickgruber.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
then you should we should actually take in great comfort in him then, because in fact, this is a classic comfort food. It starts with rutabagas, potatoes, and carrots.
Okay.
Boiled and mashed together. Salt, pepper, butter, nutmeg, and sugar. This is the classic comfort food.
Monster Mash.
A monster mash.
Nice.
But
Yeah,
when we get into
that's actually
words,
Stickluber is actually Monster Mash in German. I don't know if you all knew that or not.
it is from now on. That is going to be monster
It
mash.
is now.
I
It
need
is
to
now.
make that. And
Yes.
but it's said to be it's sweet and savory at the same time. It's very thick and filling, and you would have it with some smoked pork on the side, whether it's a sausage or like ham or something like that.
A slice of bacon, perchance.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely thick sliced bacon.
Yeah.
But not with the carrots, but I basically had this before. This is something my grandmother would make with the potatoes and it was actually potatoes, turnips, and the Swede, which is the other way you call a rutabaga. I think most of the world actually calls it a Swede, but anyway, butter, etc. Delicious, very nice. And the thing is that the different tastes of the different roots break up and change things around in a way. Like I love mashed potatoes, but it's also nice to have extra flavor, different texture. So.
Stickluber.
No one need ever die. I will stop this. No, you can't achieve death. We won't know unless we try.
I warn you, what you are suggesting is not only illegal, it is immoral.
What's happened to you?
Yes. That's the combination. It's alive.
consequences of your actions.
When we talk about Frankenstein being a gothic novel, people usually think of the Victorian period, or even the Edwardian period, which follows the Victorian period. But Frankenstein itself, the novel, was written during the period before the Victorian period, the Regency period. And this film is set even earlier than that. It opens in 1794, so that would be like, I don't know, the colonial period. I don't know what you would call that period. I don't know. Someone can look it up.
Yeah, that sounds about right. That sounds about right.
So, 1790s, Captain Walton leads an expedition to the North Pole. So once again, I like that these later Frankenstein films bring back the Arctic scenes.
Yeah,
in the story.
It's kind of important, really.
Yeah. And in this, as an added bonus, their ship is trapped in the ice.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And possibly facing mutiny and stuff like that.
Right.
They're trapped in the ice, and then there's this frightening noise heard, and there's this cloaked figure that comes out of the fog. So he tells his crew to grab arms and follow him. And their dogs take off. And when they come back across the dogs, they're all like dead, bloody, carcasses on the ice. And then it turns into this thing where he's arguing with the crew on whether or not they're going to continue the expedition. They found this guy, and he says, like, "Do you share my madness?" And they're like, "Who are you?" And he said, "I'm Victor Frankenstein." And then he tells his story, and it flashes back. So right at the beginning, we can see that this is going to be a story about ambition run amok, because even before we get to Frankenstein talking about how like he ignores everything else and he's like single-minded, that's the way this captain is about reaching the North Pole. He's going to do it.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Doesn't matter what the rest of the crew says, So we get that parallel right off the bat. Yeah. Then it goes all the way back to even earlier when Victor and Elizabeth were children raised together.
Mm.
There's a lot of things that happen real fast. We see the whole lightning striking a tree incident. We see his mother dying in childbirth.
Bilbo Baggins is the dad.
Ian Holm, yes. What we last saw on this show as Bilbo Baggins when we did the Hobbit movies, so go back and find those in our archives. Jumps through all this stuff and gets us to him and Henry Clerval studying medicine at Ingolstadt again. And this is under Professor Waldman, who's back in the story. We haven't seen him in a little bit here. And this one, he's played by John Cleese, which I thought was kind of interesting. Interesting bit of casting there.
Did really well. I mean, he did that all with a straight face, too. I was like, come on, where's the joke, buddy?
Well, not only a straight face, a prosthetic face. Yeah, I think he had a prosthetic chin and stuff. Yeah.
It was very big and like repeated. That's like, oh, we know basically from the beginning that the doctor would at that time the student Frankenstein is someone who's he's into this old stuff that has been dismissed by science, and
he's got a big book of notes, and
and it's all, and everybody he brings up is his professor's like, oh yeah, that guy, he's a crazy person, we've already dismissed his theory. Oh, him, another Swiss guy. And he's like, where are you from? Who are you? Oh, you're another Swiss guy? Well, we know how those guys are.
Right. Like young Frankenstein, like he's like, yeah, I don't do that anymore. I don't. He tries to dissuade him. He's like, don't do it. And it comes out later like that he did try this in the past. And he's like, yeah, I tried it and don't do it.
Well, Frankenstein asked him, well, how close did you come? And he said, too close.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah. So
he also had the monkey arm too.
Yeah, that was pretty sick.
Yep.
Yeah.
And by the way, Clerval is Tom Hulse. We haven't seen him in anything yet, I think, on the show, but he was Amadeus in Amadeus.
That's why I recognized him. Okay.
Yes, that's how. Yes, thank you. I was like, man, where do I know that dude? What? I've seen him in a wig before. Wait. Yeah, thank you, Amadeus. Of
so
course.
in this, the Ingolstadt stuff is great. I thought instead of it being cholera, in this it's smallpox.
Right.
Because of course this is said earlier, right? This is the 1770s, 1780s. I don't know what it is. 1780s. And Waldman gets killed. Like while he's trying to do this, like vaccinate people. He is killed by an anti-vaxxer.
Yes.
Like,
yep.
I was like watching this. I'm like, did he just get killed by an anti-vaxxer? Yeah, and yes, he did.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
Now, in fairness, they were trying to force him to get the stick, and he's like, "You guys are great. No, you're murderers, and you're not. I'm not doing it." The anti-vaxxer goes to the gallows, denouncing them. So,
well, keep in mind, I want to point out that like he tries to explain to him, this is like the whole, it's a tiny bit of the disease. It's to build up the, he doesn't use
your
these terms, but
immunity.
it's to build up the herd immunity. The same stuff we had to do. And keep in mind, this is period accurate. Vaccine did exist back then.
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe here we are. This is over 200 and
some change
years ago. We're still having this like.
Eric, if we've been doing this for over 200 years, don't you think that maybe we've learned something since then? I mean,
no. Have you met people?
250 actually. This is over 250 years ago. Anyway,
so.
Yeah. Well, Will, how was the creation scene?
Oh my God, it was awesome! It was so over the top craziness.
Right.
They used everything. They had everything.
Was there a Jacob's ladder?
No,
there was no.
I didn't even miss it.
Yes, there was. There was all the shades that they all had the arcs on them. There was a bunch of Jacob's. It was like a whole ton of Jacob's ladders,
like the circular ones, right? Because I saw a lot of those.
No,
too,
this is
right?
where the arc happens between two things.
Yeah.
But it's there are all these arcs going up.
Like
no,
it was like a
my
bumper
favorite
car.
thing is. My favorite scene of this is when he's talking about, they do a sort of voiceover of him going and collecting various things, and he like there's a woman straining to give birth. They catch the liquid, and he pays off somebody for it because he needs amniotic fluid.
Amniotic fluid.
My God.
He had electric eels.
Electric eels. Like a giant pressure, pressure vessel. Like
he was also using acupuncture and like he was blending all kinds of stuff.
I mean, the whole thing was over a fire. I mean,
right? Yeah, and like the transport of the body into the actual pressure pot was a little like it was like a bumper car ride. It was like they just pulled it up in the air and like it bounced off of stuff and like it was like I don't know.
I kept thinking like this could be a Disney experience, right?
Right.
You get strapped down and then dropped in the water.
It reminded me of like Delicatessen or City of Lost Children with the causality of all the chain of events that happened to get the body from one portion of the lab to the other one. Really, he could just rolled it over and just went and dumped it in. Yeah, but whatever. They had a lot of money. They had a lot of money.
You have a little steampunk going on in there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Totally, dude. Totally.
And chat. Let me just tell you guys, Kenneth Branagh, which was stripped to the waist and like
he
tight
was
pants,
bro. He was looking good, man.
Boots, and that's how he was swinging around and hitting things. It was super operatic. It was like it was like a stage show of some sort, and he's like drenched in sweat. And then later, when he does the whole thing, he shoots off all the fire, everything goes off, and the monster emerges like explosively, the sarcophagus lid blows off, all this stuff, and they're both just covered in amniotic fluid. And then it turns into pure
God.
slapstick. It turns into a freaking.
Yeah, they're like rolling around on each other, like, oh, no. Yeah, yeah.
It was the slapstick where he can't get this guy up. He's dragging him. He's doing all this stuff. It's. I mean, I think this was the moment where I'm like, oh, yeah, this is ridiculous. This is just so. Somehow they managed to, he manages to think again. This always seems like that he killed the monster. He brought him to life, but then killed him, and then he's exhausted and he just goes to bed. Da da.
Yeah. I remember thinking that scene was kind of stupid when I saw it in the theater back then. And watching it now, I'm like, yeah, it's still kind of stupid.
It's super stupid. I mean, but boy, they didn't do any half measures there, man.
No. They spent some money on it, that's for sure.
It was over the top.
So the creature like grabs a trench coat and runs off into the wilderness. He eventually finds the blind man. I don't know if they call him DeLacy in this, but it's basically the DeLacy character, and sort of hangs out in the barn. The usual thing of like watching them. In this case, he helps them by pulling up the root vegetables.
Okay.
Yes, because in this case, there's a family living with the blind guy.
Yeah, and Will's gonna we'll allow Will his gardening moment here.
Go, buddy.
We gave him his electrician moment. We'll give him his gardening
Rant
moment.
on. Okay, so the problem is that their crops are frozen in the field. And they show all these ruined ass crops in the field. Okay, and the man's like, the ground's too frozen. We can never. Now, mind you, not only that, but they also have pigs, right? And our monster is hiding out with the pigs.
Mm-hmm.
These pigs are like piglets. Okay, totally wrong. You don't go into winter with a bunch of piglets. You come out of winter with piglets. You want to come out of winter, get your piglets on, raise them full size, turn them into hams, so that you're not feeding them over the winter. Just made me so mad. And then, of course, they have all of these. There's all these crops in the field that somehow it goes from they're frozen in the field to like that night, at night, mind you, where it's usually colder. He's pulling all these things out of the ground, which I don't care how strong you are. If you're ripping something out of the ground that is frozen ground, it's just going to tear off the tops. Okay, it's just going to tear them off. But somehow he manages to do that. But and also these tops are perfectly good. When just moments before it was just a frozen.
Are you sure you're short circuiting, man?
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to say, though I liked his interaction with the family, I liked how the grandfather thought, this is from the spirit of the forest or something, which felt very, I don't know, Miyazaki, I don't know, but I like that stuff, but no, they got all the farming crap wrong, very bad farming stuff.
Well,
right.
You see they didn't have any damn food, so they weren't very good at it. I mean, come on. They weren't very good at it. Clearly, you just pointed out all the reasons why that farm failed in the first place, which was why they didn't have any money when the landlord showed up.
Well, there's another question. I don't know enough about this particular time period as to know whether it could be like just people who could rent land. I'm not sure. Because, that was not a given. That you could be a free person and rent land. A lot of people belong to the land for a long time. I mean, honestly, I can't imagine. It's weird that there will be a landlord who did get like bonked in the head. I'm not sure he deserved it, to be honest, but he was a jerk to the old man.
Yeah. You can't be pushing around blind people, man.
Not just the old man. He grabs the little kid by the neck.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Snatches up the little girl.
All right, so yeah, he had it coming. He
Yeah.
should have showed up and said, "Hey, man, where's my rent?"
Yo, it's first of the month, bro.
I mean,
Where's
he's
my
like,
money?
if anyone
You
had it
know?
coming, he did, because like the children and the disabled, like a blind guy, it's
I
like
mean, yeah,
yeah,
Right.
he would have had to
so
kick a dog to make it.
the trifecta, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh man, we've gotten so far off on this whole farming, the
Well,
agriculture.
it was very important to the plot.
So the family returns. They see the creature, and like as usual, they assume the worst and drive him out, despite the fact that he was actually getting on pretty well with Delancey, the blind man. They chase him off. When he does come back later, they've already gone. Like they've left the house.
Mm-hmm. Because they assaulted the landlord, and
Yeah.
the farm was failing.
Meanwhile, the creature has Victor's journal, which he's slowly learned to read. And so he finds out about his own creation. He vows vengeance on Victor for bringing him into this world as this misshapen creature that everybody hates. And like, he basically torches the house and heads off into the wilderness. Meanwhile, Victor goes back to Geneva to get married to Elizabeth.
And who plays adult Elizabeth?
Helena Bonham Carter.
Yeah.
Yes.
First movie Kenneth Branagh makes that doesn't star Emma Thompson, because she decided she got cast in Carrington and that would be a better role for her. And so she was in Carrington, and she was married to Branagh at the time. And by the end of this, she would no longer be married to Kenneth Branagh, and he would be married to Helena Bonham Carter. So. During all this wedding preparations, William goes off with a locket to go show his dad it or something, and comes across the creature. They did not show this on screen.
Mm-mm.
Apparently someone up high vetoed the idea. The studio was just like, no, you're not going to show the murder of William on screen. So they didn't.
Boo.
But he basically was killed by the monster, and the monster, in what is accurate to the book, plants the locket on Justine, and so she is blamed for it. In this, she's not blamed by a court of law, but she is blamed by the mob. So in this, we get the torch wielding, pitchfork wielding mob going after the people. This is like the second person, because they also went after the guy who stabbed Waldman early on.
Yeah.
So mob rule is a thing here.
It's horrific.
Yeah.
She doesn't even know that he's dead. She's like, I went looking for him, I couldn't find him, but like they're stringing her up and throwing her over, and she just doesn't know what the hell is happening. It's just like, what? And of course, this is somebody that the doctor and his fiance both grew up with.
This is a change from the book that I think is actually good. I'll talk about this later. There are a number of changes in this that they made from the book that I think are good. Because in the book, everybody thinks she did it, except Victor, who's the only one that knows the creature exists. So he knows the truth of it, but he can't say without admitting that the creature exists. So he like goes along with, oh yeah, she did it. But in this, none of them believe it. The mob just believed it.
Yeah.
I mean, because this is awful flimsy evidence. Like, she's got the locket. Like, that's it. That's the only thing tying
that's
her
it.
to...
Yeah. I really liked the hanging scene when they hang her. Wow.
Yeah.
They just, like, right off the top of the city wall. Yeah. I'm surprised the head actually remained on the body from the distance that it fell and how hard the rope snapped. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The creature basically confronts him when nobody's around. It's like, there, we meet on the ice, and he points to the mountain. So Victor goes.
And doesn't tell anybody what's going on. He says, I gotta go.
No.
I'm not gonna tell
I gotta
you.
go.
I know who's behind this, but I will tell you everything when I get back.
I think he does take a gun with him.
Yep.
right?
Takes,
But
yeah, I believe he did. Yeah, he had a rifle and a pistol, I think, is what he had with him.
he doesn't get a chance to use them though because
No,
he's ambushed by the monster. He falls down into an ice cave. When he comes to, they have a discussion.
which is really dumb. He could have just did that right there instead of making, oh, go up here.
I think you need to disarm him.
Yeah, maybe, I suppose, but yeah,
Also, ice cave. I mean, that's cool. So that's why you have to do that.
well, yeah, of course it's cool. It's an ice cave. It's cold.
Victor has some sympathy for him, a little bit.
Yeah.
He does manage to persuade him to make him a female companion. That is until later when he brings him the raw materials, Justine, and it's like,
Right.
oh yeah.
Which, if you were paying attention to what I said earlier, that neck is ruined. You're gonna need a whole, I mean, from the neck down, probably fine, but like that, yeah, definitely the neck has been stretched, like out of proportion, I'm sure.
Yeah. We'll speed this up here. Basically, he changes his mind, decides he's not going to do it, and then the creature like busts into the house or sneaks in the house, kills Ian Holm, his dad.
Killed Bilbo, man. Killed Bilbo. Bastard.
They go through with the wedding, but on the wedding night, they post guards everywhere so that he'll be safe, which of course he isn't. Of course, the creature breaks in.
Duh.
Kills Elizabeth. And in fact, how does he kill? He kills her like full Temple of Doom, like hand in, heart out.
Punches right through that sternum. Pulls the still beating heart out. Yeah, very, very Temple of Doom.
And then he flees. Victor grabs her, races to his lab, and he's like, tries to bring her back to life using a combination of her body and Justine's.
Just so happened that Justine body needed a new head. So I think that worked out pretty well.
Yeah.
I think it would have been ideal. And I think it was a terrible choice, but it's like perfectly good body, put her head on it. He gets to have both of the girls he grew up with. Very creepy, but he could have done that. But instead, as we see a little later, he fucks up her entire head for some reason. Like, there's stitches everywhere.
Yeah. Well, she like when he pushed her up, when he busted through her sternum, she like fell off the bed and like hit the table and like part of her face got on fire.
Okay, I guess so.
Well, I don't know, because the thing is, I'm kind of with you on this, Will, but I thought that about the creature to begin with. Like, he's basically the body of the anti-vaxxer,
Right.
With
I mean, there was a lot of unnecessary stitching going on, I felt.
Yeah.
I would actually like to see this, though. Like, let's think about this. How often? Because, okay, so the doctor was killed, and he, in fact, used his friend's brain, that is. Which we've seen that before.
Yeah.
But, instead of, he just was stabbed, set shit up and reanimate the whole thing.
Right.
Maybe, and then I'd like to see this in another movie where they do that. And you deal with them as they are, because they can still come back wrong.
Right.
As a matter of fact, that might be worse.
We got a lot of Frankenstein films left to go. Maybe you'll get your wish. That's all.
Actually,
I'm
I do know one where they do go down that road, and I think it's very good. So anyway, okay, yeah.
Anyway, she basically rejects him. She also rejects the monster, so she basically rejects both of them.
This is a great scene.
Yeah,
this is such a good scene.
Yeah, this is actually good.
All right, why don't you take us through this, Jason?
Okay, if I may.
Yeah.
She decides she doesn't want to deal with either of them. She then makes it her choice and busts an oil lamp over herself, and she's immediately on fire. Poof, on fire. Takes off running down this hallway, which for some reason catches on fire anyway, even though she didn't really actually touch anything. Like literally every rib in that hallway caught fire.
Yeah.
She runs out of the house. You get the scene pulls back to where you can see the whole house. All of a sudden, poof! It's all on fire. Just like like burn the model now, poof! And they like the house is on fire. Yeah, it was pretty great. Pretty great.
Yeah, it was
As
nice.
far
And
as
over the top.
you know, a lot of fire stuff just caught on fire
But
just
like
cause.
she's like a firebomb. She like hits it and then suddenly she like goes up like she's completely made out of gasoline.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
she napalms everything she touches. Like boom,
yeah.
suddenly the place is like, and then she
How is that
like must
possible?
explode because suddenly all the windows and everything is like, you know,
Yeah.
it's like
Like she swallowed a bunch of he like sewed TNT up inside of her or something.
I think that's
while he
the
was putting her
amniotic
together.
fluid, guys. I'm pretty sure that stuff is like
formaldehyde.
Like combustive.
Yeah, yeah, must be. That's most.
Okay. Okay, sure.
Spoiler alert. To avoid spoilers, skip ahead 4 minutes. And then it flashes back to the Arctic where he's finished telling his tale. He dies aboard the ship of pneumonia, and they're going to like burn his body, create a funeral pyre. Just as they're ready to burn his body, the ice starts breaking up and everybody jumps back on the boat. They invite the creature to join them, but he says he's had enough of humanity. As they break away on this ice floe, he like stayed in the water, but he got on the ice floe. This could have been like the last movie we watched where they both go down because that's what's going to happen to them anyway because it's a piece of ice.
Right.
And what does he do? More fire! Sets everything on
Sets
fire.
it on fire.
Killing himself and burning the body of Victor at the same time. And then presumably it's going to melt and they're going to fall.
And they're gonna sink into the ocean.
Anyway, so that's pretty much it.
We're kind of geared up for like, okay, he's coming for, there's going to be a confrontation. There isn't one. And when the captain, they find him, the monster sitting with the Frankenstein's body and weeping. And they ask him, why do you weep? And he says, because he was my father. And that's, they give him the funeral and he's standing off the side. He comes to pay his respects. And one of the men's like, should he be? And he's like, shut up. He has the right to, pay his respects.
Right.
The tale that Frankenstein told built empathy for the monster in these men, in particular the captain, who at the beginning of this movie was like dead set on going through the pole,
Right.
Going through the polar passage, finding that no matter how many people died in the process. But in the end, when they ask him, where are we going, Captain, now? Instead, he's like, home. We're going home.
Let's get out of here.
It's like a weird redemption. It's not for Frankenstein or the monster, but
for the captain of the ship.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I liked that part. Yeah.
A cautionary tale.
I saw this movie for free in an advanced screening.
I think I did too.
I didn't like it. But my opinion has changed over time with it. So, first of all, on rewatching it, I got to say there are several ways this departs from the book that I think are actually great. Of course, the creation scene, like every movie, is way better than the book, which hardly talks about the creation at all. It's like he's going to make it and then he made it. But also I like, as I mentioned earlier, the expansion of the Arctic scenes, which we didn't get in a lot of the other ones. It's only really in the last couple where we really get the Arctic stuff. Was there even Arctic stuff in the animated one? I don't think even the animated one had the Arctic.
No, I don't think it did either.
Well, a lot of them have Arctic stuff, but it's usually at the end.
Yeah. So instead of standard grave robbing and all that, I also like how no body goes unused. Waldman's murdered and his body's used to make the creature. Justine is executed and she becomes part of the body of the bride. Creature kills Elizabeth, part of the bride.
Yeah, let's go.
I like that. You know,
Recycle.
even the guy that
That's
kills Waldman becomes and is executed, you know, becomes the big problem I have with this film is the first half is simultaneously too slow and too fast. It's like they wanted to stay true to the book, and I think some of this was the conflict between Branagh and Coppola. Coppola wanted to cut the whole like first half hour, and I think they wanted to include everything, but they couldn't. So in order to chop it down to meet some artificial, like this must be a 2 hour film, this is just what I'm guessing happened. They like cut every one of those scenes to just like the bare bones. So it has all these tiny pieces, but none of the scenes have impact. But then like the second half is done the right way where the film gets good once it slows down, and we have the conversation between Victor and Clerval when Victor's sick, and Victor and Elizabeth, and then the creature and DeLacy have their conversation in the house, and then especially Victor and the creature's discussion in the ice cave. This is where it finally like clicks. I still give it a thumbs up. I think that the look of it and like a lot of the stuff is just like beyond any of the Frankensteins we've seen. So I think if it took the straightforward script of like the TNT version that we watched, but had the costumes and cinematography and set design of this one,
That would have been a really awesome movie.
yeah, I think that would be the Frankenstein to see. And also, I think that De Niro was miscast. I don't think he was the ideal person to play the creature. But that's my take on it. So it's still a thumbs up, but it's like just above the midpoint of thumbs up. I can't say it's a thumbs down, but you could do so much better with some of the other Frankenstein films we've seen. That's my take.
Because of the context that I watched this in, I can't evaluate it on its own. In a way, I'm like, what does this add to the canon? But I will say, the creation scene in all its ridiculous over-the-topness was magnificent. Just chef's kiss good. And the immolation scene, amazing. I would say watch this. It's just barely a thumbs up for me.
So the creation and the destruction.
Yeah. It's a thumbs up, just kind of barely, because a lot of the other stuff, it's like, okay, yeah, that happened. You know, it didn't hit. Like you said, a lot of stuff got included, but didn't, I don't feel like I had time to have the emotional context that I wanted. I like it when he talks to the monster. I think it adds to the story over any of the versions where the monster never learns to speak or etc.
Yeah.
So like those scenes are good, and but like mostly, okay, I will just say this: imagine if he had been able to do a modern miniseries.
Yeah, I think that's the problem. It's like either give those scenes full development or cut them entirely and start at Ingolstadt.
Right.
I agree with you, Eric. That first half, it felt, you worded it pretty well. I mean, all that stuff felt like here's this, here's this, here's this, here's this, here's this, and you could tell that they were trying to build, flesh out some stuff to give you context for things, and I guess try to tell you a little more of a backstory, but they just didn't have time because, Peter Jackson hadn't did Lord of the Rings yet, and nobody's gonna, Now I imagine if you had a big budget movie where you could do a Frankenstein movie that was, over 2.5, 3 hours, maybe even 3.5,
or a Netflix series,
or a Netflix series, yeah. You could get away with doing something like that.
No, I want to point out, because you mentioned him, the reason why he was able to do Lord of the Rings is because Peter Jackson was already a genius on doing more with less,
Oh, yeah. Oh, I've seen plenty of his early movies, man. Oh, yeah.
It's like, I'm not.
Dead Alive is an amazing movie,
Yes, exactly.
I saw this movie for free, too. I'm almost positive I did. And the girl that I was with was annoying me. So I'm glad I got to see it, watch it again, just to confirm my suspicions. The acting was okay. It was believable. De Niro did his best. The stitched in sneer You know, it was like he automatically was like, I gotta have the sneer. I'm Robert De Niro. Yeah. So we're just gonna stitch that in so it's permanent, you know, for the entire thing. I'm gonna give this one a solid meh.
Yeah.
Meh.
Yeah. Okay. I think you've heard it from all three of us. This is a thumbs up, but just barely. Like it's like barely that thumb is almost sideways. It's just barely above the line. Anything you wanna plug here before we go, Jason?
Yes. Go to Totally Radams, bandcamp.com to buy the Super Satan Show comp. It's a double album, 20 bands, 2 records, a 16-page booklet. First 200 are going to be red vinyl. The last 300 are black. So order soon. They're $40. $40.
Right on.
Check it out. Best stuff ever.
If you like the show, please like, subscribe, rate, and review, particularly on iTunes, because that'll help us a lot. But most of all, just tell a couple of people about the show. We need more listeners, especially listeners that don't live in Ohio or California. We have quite the following in California. I'm not sure what that's all about.
That's weird. Because they're listening. They're listening to us critique their movies.
Yeah,
that's
probably.
what it is. That's what it is. They're industry people.
You know what? 100%. At least some industry people have been listening to the show. So
that's cool. That's cool.
Okay. If you want to talk to us, say anything, GC8 podcast, that's letter G, letter C, number 8 podcast at gmail.com, or you can find us on Facebook and talk to us there. Until next time, this is Eric.
This is Will.
I'm Jason.
And signing off. You know, we're Americans. We don't have history that goes back that far.
Yeah.